Okay, so it was weird. Like with some of these people, they really don't want to know what I believe, it seems like. They get mad when I don't believe, like if I'm not a hateful terrorist who believes in raping kids, they don't like it. So this lady was funny because honestly, it's like I said, well, specifically, she asked for a verse. The verse part, I didn't have an issue with answering that question. But it was funny because, I mean, like, she was upset. I guess really upset. She answered her own question, and it was within the first minute of asking the question. So I answered the question, right? And I specifically say, I screenshotted you. I will do a video right after this one. Thank you, January. And I'm saying thank you because I'm like, yeah, well, yeah, it would be nice to do a video with the verse. Then I'm specifically saying that, with the Quran, specifically outlines that uh, you're not supposed to rape children. You can't have sex with children. Children are not mentally capable of marrying. It specifically says it in a verse. There are plenty of verses, but this is specifically one example of it. They even tried to use another thing that I discredited a while ago in a previous video because I think they may have watched YouTube and I featured apostate on my channel. And I think maybe they saw a video like that because they mentioned that person. And I think they thought because they watched that video that meant that there was pedophilia in the Quran. I've addressed that already in the past. I'm going to address it right now again. Specifically, it's not talking about children, it's talking about women because you have to read the whole verse. The verse is talking about women who no longer have their period, women who have a period, and women who don't have their period yet. Now, some people thought that only children don't have their period yet. And that's not true. You could get your period very late and therefore you wouldn't have your period yet. Or you could be a person who doesn't have a period, which would still fall under that category of not having your period, never having had your period. So that would be like people with Turner syndrome. Then also, and also one other thing, the Quran also talks about intersex people. And intersex people can many of the time not have periods as well. I know people do not pay attention to the fact that the Quran talks about intersex people, but it specifically says man created man, woman, and both. So, yes, the intersex people have been covered. That's why it's so annoying when people act like Hadith Muslims, Hadith people, I don't really see them as Muslims, think that they can fix intersex people and they can supposedly correct intersex people. That's what they think. And that's not true because intersex people were created by God just like men and women were. It doesn't say that they need to be corrected, but that's a whole different story. I'm just saying that the Quran doesn't support mutilating intersex children, men, women. It's not really into the whole transgender thing either. Just saying. So, anyway, the whole point was this person was basically trying to say that I was maybe not telling exactly what the Quran was saying about mental maturity. And no, it is actually mental maturity in the Quran. So I'm going to show it. But it was funny how this person acted because, like, they kept trying to fight. And I was like, I'm not here to fight. I'm just here to explain my views. It's funny that the people who hate Islam and try to say it believes all these things that it doesn't and try and talk badly about it get really mad when you don't believe those things and you're a Muslim. They always try and act like you're not a real Muslim, like you're lying or something. My mother's name is Baina. So it's quite clear my mother is Muslim. I was Muslim when I was born. I'm Muslim now. My father's was Muslim, died. My convert relatives are my grandparents. My mother isn't a convert. I'm not a convert. So, yeah, I'm not new to Islam either. Born and raised and everything. You know. I'm not coming up with these ideas and these views from nowhere. It's specifically from the Qur'an. You know, some people focus on the supposed culture of Arabs and then they extrapolate that to Muslims, but that's not the truth. So that's all I wanted to point out here, because it was like this person, I think, like I said, they got stuck on apostate, the apostate dude that I addressed with the whole thing about women who have not gotten their period yet. It's weird to me. Also, it seems pedophilic if you really think that to get married, you have to have a period. I've specifically said this. If you think that it takes having a period to be of marriageable age, that means you actually support pedophilia, because children get periods most of the time. Now, I'm not saying that it's always, like I said, there's delayed puberty and there are women who do not have periods. And by the way, with that verse, is specifically talking about women, not girls. And somebody else pointed this out in a video too. It was another type of scholar dude who actually specifically pointed this out. But yeah. So the point is, what I'm trying to say here is, you know, with that verse specifically, that's not the case. I'm trying to show a verse that specifically shows that is mental maturity. Because, like with puberty, like I said, if you believe that puberty is what makes people of the age to marry, that means you think 3-year-olds can marry. You think that 8-year-olds can marry. You think that 9-year-olds can marry. I was 8 myself when I got my period, and I'm here to tell you, people like me do not deserve to be told we don't deserve protection just because we got our periods earlier. We still do not have the mental maturity to enter a marriage. And people would be taking advantage of a girl who specifically starts her period earlier just because she started a period earlier. That doesn't mean she needs to be taken advantage of. And it does take a psychological toll on children when they are raped and exposed to sexual activity at very young ages. So I just wanted to point all that out. Now, let me go to the verse that I was referencing since she asked. Here it is. Anisa. And test the orphans in your charge until they reach a marriageable age, and then if you find them to be mature of mind, hand over to their possessions, and do not consume them by wasteful spending and in haste ere they grow up. And let him who is rich abstain entirely, and let him who is poor partake thereof in a fair manner. And when you hand over to them their possessions, let them there be witnesses on their behalf, although none can take account as God does, of course. So, my point is, there is such a thing as marriageable age and mature of mind, and they correlate to each other. So, pedophilia is not allowed. I keep saying this. Pedophilia is not allowed. Now, what is the age of maturity? Well, long ago, I understand. People may not understand this passage that well because they may not know what is mature of mind, because they don't have the scientific evidence to prove when your brain is fully developed. And plus, things were very different back then. So, I don't blame people making mistakes. I said this in the beginning, that mistakes are mistakes. I'm not blaming people for that. What I'm specifically saying is that the Qur'an does not accept that, does not allow for that. You can look at scientifically. The brain is fully formed in your 25th year, around your 25th year of age. That means that to consent to marriage, to be closer to the end of, a fully formed brain, you would have to be very close to 20 years of age to consent to marriage, to consent to sex. So, that's all I wanted to point out here. It's really annoying to me that sometimes people have this idea that they specifically feel like, all in all, over this whole situation, just like the last person, they tend to get angry and try to insult you and attack your beliefs because you do not believe in pedophilia and you're not a terrorist and you're a Muslim. Because in reality, it's not that they, I don't think, hate what they're saying. They just want Muslims to seem like bad people. And they hate when people like me are not of that type of perspective. They hate when the Quran does not support what they're claiming the Quran supports and Islam supports. They have to use the Hadith, which specifically tries to lie on the Prophet and say that he married a child or something like that, even though historians have proven that's not true. But they try and have to use those people in order to prove that Muslims are bad people. So all you do is make yourself look badly, because what you're doing is trying to make Muslims look badly. So you're a mean-spirited individual who's trying to go off of lies, even after I've tried to express to you that the Quran does not support these things. It upsets you that I am proving my religion not to be what you want it to be, because that way it makes you feel like basically you have no reason to be a hater. And it's not my fault that you are, hateful to Muslims. I think honestly, it may be coming from a perspective of trauma, especially in this person's case. This person seemed really ready to fight and everything. And I think maybe like a lot of people from certain areas of America and the trauma that America went through with 9/11 caused much of that, you know? And like I said, I don't have any anger towards someone like that at all. I understand your perspective, and I understand it from my perspective too. Because I mean, like, I went through 9/11 as well, and I've seen, how terrorist people have been. So I mean, I've seen all that, and I've seen all that degeneracy and those problems among that Arabized kind of culture, or whatever's going on there. Maybe Arab culture, maybe they have an explanation. I don't know. I'll say that because I don't know them that well. I don't even know the Hadith that well. I'm just hearing what some people are saying about what comes from the Hadith, like child marriages, and saying that puberty defines when you can marry, which is a cultural thing that Arabs believe in, and I do not personally believe in, because obviously puberty can happen to any child at any age, and that doesn't make them mentally capable of entering a marriage. But it's just weird to me when these people try to go off of false lies on the Quran. Like, I already said I don't believe in the Hadith. I don't. So you can't try and put me with those people like the other person was trying to do and say, you must follow people. The Quran specifically says not to follow people. The Quran specifically says not to follow the Hadith. It specifically says it's the last and final revelation. So that's what is the truth on that situation. I cannot follow the Hadith because I follow the Quran. You cannot follow both because the Quran specifically discredits the Hadith. The Hadith was made in 800 AD, and the Quran started was the last revelation in 680. So, that's basically all I have to say here. Is just, for me, that's my beliefs. And in the Quran, we do not support pedophilia. We don't. We also don't support animal abuse. We class, honestly, with dogs. We can eat from dogs, and we cannot eat from Hindus. So it's almost like dogs are kind of a bit better than the Hindu in some regards, idolaters for that matter. So yeah, that's basically all I have to say here. I do not have any anger towards you, hate towards you, or anything. I don't even have any issue with why you have your hostility. I understand it. I do. I understand it because, I mean, like, considering the history in America with certain cultures and some of the things that have been done as far as tragedies, it makes sense that you would have some hostility to what you thought had to do with Muslims when it doesn't. You know, it's misdirected anger, you know. But yeah, I don't have any hate towards you, ma'am. But it did seem like I said, from many of the different comments this person was having, they kept trying to um, basically fight on things. And it was like, I wasn't trying to fight. The first comment was literally that I'm going to do a video explaining that there is a verse that specifically outlaws child marriages. And I have done that. So that's all I have to say here. Um, Thank you, January, for requesting the video. Have a great day, guys. Like and subscribe, comment down below, and have a great day. Bye, guys.